The Stoics understood that noise is the language of distraction, and silence is the path to mastery. Boast, argue, and show off. The wise man says less and observes more. He lets his actions speak so loudly that his silence becomes his greatest investment. If you truly desire wealth, not just money, but peace, clarity, and control, learn to shut up every word you speak without thought as a coin thrown away. Every quiet moment you use to plan, observe, and build is a coin saved. Silence is not weakness, it's power under control. When you are quiet, you see what others miss. You read people's motives. You sense opportunities before they appear. The Stoic mind doesn't rush to impress anyone. It studies human behavior. It plans its next move. Silence gives birth to strategy. When you don't talk about your goals, you protect them. When you keep your progress to yourself, no one can curse it with doubt. Silence turns dreams into discipline. Words often turn dreams into vapor. If you truly want to rise, stop telling people what you're about to do, show them through results. The noisy man craves validation. The silent man earns respect. The Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca knew that the loudest people are usually the weakest. They brag, they seek approval, they need attention because inside they are empty. But the quiet person builds an empire brick by brick. He doesn't announce it. He moves in silence and lets his success echo. True wealth is not in the sound of your voice, but in the strength of your mind. The calm mind can see clearly, while the loud one only hears itself. If you want to be wealthy, you must master your tongue and your emotions. There's a reason silence intimidates people. When you refuse to speak, they project their own fears onto you. Your quietness creates mystery. They wonder what you know, what you're thinking, what you're capable of. That's the power of restraint. Silence commands attention without asking for it. It builds an aura of confidence because the one who doesn't speak freely must know something valuable. In Stoicism, silence is a form of wisdom, a reminder that the more you understand, the less you need to say. When you reach that level of inner peace, you become unstoppable. Your wealth starts when your mouth closes and your mind opens. Every successful person knows the value of patience and observation. They don't rush to talk. They don't explain their every move. They act, adjust, and adapt. The rich don't announce their plans, they execute them. The Stoic way is the same. Control yourself, think deeply, and let silence be your weapon. If you truly want to be wealthy, shut up, work, and let your results do the talking. So if this message resonates with you, if you want to master the Stoic mindset that turns silence into power and wealth, subscribe to this channel. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this truth, and stay with us for more wisdom that will sharpen your mind, strengthen your soul, and guide you toward real success. Remember, wealth begins where noise ends, in silence. Silence is a teacher, and wealth is its loyal student. Every moment you spend in silence is an investment in wisdom. The Stoics believed that control over speech is the foundation of control over life. Think of how much time people waste defending their opinions, gossiping, arguing, or revealing their plans. All that energy could have been used to build something real. When you silence your mouth, your mind awakens. You begin to hear the world differently, the patterns, the motives, the subtle shifts of opportunity. Silence gives you the mental room to create. Wealth is not born from noise. It's born from focus. Every wealthy and wise person you admire understands this. The less you talk, the more you notice. The more you notice, the better your decisions. And the better your decisions, the richer your life becomes. Stoicism teaches that discipline in speech is discipline in action. If you can hold your tongue when emotions burn inside you, you can hold your ground when life tests you. That self-control will lead you to prosperity far greater than money, a peace of mind no one can steal. There's something magnetic about a person who speaks rarely but meaningfully. Their words carry weight because they are not thrown carelessly into the air. That's how you should be. Let your silence filter your thoughts until only gold comes out. The Stoics would say, don't waste words, make them count. The same rule applies to your time and energy. Every careless conversation, every unnecessary debate, every boastful statement steals from your mental savings. If you want to be wealthy, treat your words like currency. Spend them wisely, and invest them only where they bring value. When you are silent, you give others the illusion of power, but in truth, you hold it. Because while they speak, you observe. While they react, you plan. Silence gives you the advantage of foresight. It makes you unpredictable, untouchable, and calm in chaos. The Stoics called this mastery over impulse, the art of being unmoved by noise. Wealthy minds don't get caught up in gossip, envy, or comparison. They are too focused on creation. They don't need to announce their success. They build it quietly, day by day, until the world can no longer ignore it. Let your silence become your strategy. The world is filled with distractions trying to pull your attention away from purpose. But when you shut up and listen, truly listen, you begin to understand what really matters. You find direction. You start hearing your own intuition. You begin to recognize patterns of success and failure in others, which guides your own path. This is how silence multiplies wealth. It teaches awareness, patience, and timing. The loud seek applause, the quiet build empires. If this wisdom speaks to your soul, stay with this channel. Subscribe, like, and share this message so more people can learn the power of silence. The Stoic path is not about talking, it's about transforming. Every time you choose silence over argument, every time you choose peace over noise, you are walking closer to true wealth, the kind that lives in your mind, heart, and spirit. Keep listening, keep growing, and remember, if you want to be wealthy, shut up. Silence is a mirror that reflects the truth about who you are. When you stop talking, you start hearing the voice of your own mind, not the noise of others, not the judgment of the crowd, but your own inner wisdom. That's where real wealth begins. Stoicism teaches us that external riches mean nothing if your inner world is chaotic. Silence helps you organize that world. It clears the clutter in your thoughts, allows you to see what you truly value, and makes you aware of where your energy is leaking. Every quiet moment is a reminder that peace is more profitable than pride. We live in a time when people equate volume with value. Everyone wants to be heard, but very few want to listen. That's why silence is so rare, and so powerful. It sets you apart. When you don't rush to speak, people notice. When you don't respond to every attack, they wonder why. When you keep your plans private, they can't predict your moves. Silence becomes your armor. It shields your ideas from envy, protects your progress from interference, and gives you the time to build in peace. In a world addicted to attention, silence is the ultimate rebellion, and the foundation of true success. Silence makes you rich in self-control. You begin to realize how little you need to say to be understood. The Stoics believed that wisdom is measured not by how much you know, but by how much you hold back. When you don't explain yourself to everyone, you save energy for creation. When you don't defend every decision, you remain centered in your purpose. This is how wealth grows quietly. It's not just about money, it's about having authority over yourself. Every successful person reaches a point where they stop trying to prove and start improving. Your silence can turn into influence. People are drawn to mystery. They are drawn to those who speak only when necessary. When you do speak, your words sound like truth because they come from reflection, not reaction. That's what makes a Stoic powerful. They think deeply, feel strongly, but speak rarely. If you adopt that mindset, your presence alone will speak louder than words ever could. The quiet strength of your character becomes magnetic, pulling opportunities and respect toward you without you chasing them. Wealth also requires protection, and silence is the strongest protection you can have. Talking too much exposes your intentions to those who wish you harm or envy your progress. Not everyone clapping for you wants to see you win. The Stoics warned about sharing too soon or too freely, not out of fear, but wisdom. What grows in silence grows strong. When you guard your plans, you give them time to mature. When you protect your ideas, they flourish without interference. Real power moves silently, like the tide shaping the shore, steady, unseen, unstoppable. The truth is, silence isn't emptiness. It's preparation. It's where you recharge your focus, where you sharpen your clarity, where you align your actions with your vision. The loudest moments of your life will come from the quietest decisions you make alone, in silence, with no applause, no audience, just purpose. Wealth is built in those unseen hours when no one's watching and you have the discipline to keep building anyway. So, if this message is opening your eyes, stay connected. Subscribe, like, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Every week we bring you Stoic wisdom that will strengthen your mind, sharpen your discipline, and lead you to real success, not the noisy kind, but the silent, steady kind that lasts forever. The world talks too much. Be different, be quiet, be wealthy. Silence opens doors that words often close. When you speak less, you listen more, and that's how you see the hidden opportunities that others overlook. Every deal, every connection, every step toward success depends on perception. Most people are too busy talking to notice what's really happening around them. But the Stoic mind watches, learns, and adapts. The silent person doesn't rush to fill the air, they let others reveal themselves. In that quiet, truth appears. You start to understand who can be trusted, where to move, and when to act. That's how wealth is created, not by noise, but by awareness. Silence makes you strategic. It gives you time to think before you act. You no longer move out of emotion, but from calculation. While others rush to speak, defend, or argue, you conserve your energy for decisive action. The Stoics taught that impulse is the enemy of wisdom. If you can master the urge to respond, you master the art of control. That control is rare, and rare things are valuable. Your silence becomes your leverage. People can't read your next move, so they can't interfere. That mystery makes you powerful. Wealth grows in patience. Silence is the soil where patience thrives. You don't need to announce what you're building, you just keep building. The silent craftsman doesn't boast about his tools, he shows you through his results. The same is true for the Stoic. You don't tell people you're disciplined, your calm presence proves it. You don't brag about success, your consistency speaks for you. The wealth you seek is not in the noise of ambition but in the quiet rhythm of discipline repeated every day. Silence is strength in relationships too. Not every battle deserves your words. Sometimes the greatest response is no reaction. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you stop giving them power over you. The Stoic knows that energy wasted on arguments is energy stolen from growth. So stay calm, be silent, let others talk while you build. Eventually, your results will silence them for you. Nothing speaks louder than peace and success earned quietly. Even in business, silence can be your secret advantage. The best negotiators listen more than they talk. The best leaders observe before they command. The best creators spend long silent hours refining their craft before the world ever sees their work. In silence, you find clarity. In clarity, you find confidence. And in confidence, you find wealth, not only financial, but spiritual. The Stoics understood that the richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. Silence teaches you that lesson. Silence also protects your energy. Every unnecessary conversation drains you. Every gossip, every argument, every attempt to prove your worth weakens your focus. But when you learn to stay silent, you conserve your power. That energy is then directed toward your goals, your growth, and your peace. The Stoic path is about this redirection, turning noise into intention, turning distraction into discipline. Your silence becomes your sanctuary. Remember this: true wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't need validation, it needs vision. When you master silence, you stop chasing and start attracting. You become the calm in the chaos, the person everyone respects but few truly understand. That's the kind of power the Stoics lived by. That's the kind of wealth that can never be taken away. If this speaks to your soul, stay with us. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to understand the value of silence. Here, we share Stoic wisdom that awakens your strength, builds your discipline, and turns your silence into success. Remember, the wealthiest minds don't make the most noise, they make the most impact. Silence is not just the absence of words, it's the presence of mastery. It's the calm before creation, the space where thoughts become plans and plans become reality. The Stoics lived by this truth: speak less, do more. They understood that silence was a forge, a sacred place where the mind sharpens itself against the stone of discipline. Every moment you remain quiet when others speak recklessly, you strengthen your control. Every time you hold back from arguing or proving a point, you build inner power. Silence is self-respect. It's saying, I don't need to waste my energy to be understood. In silence, you find emotional control. Most people are prisoners of their reactions. They explode when criticized, argue when challenged, and reveal their fears through words. The Stoic doesn't. He feels everything deeply but expresses little. That's power. Because when you can feel emotion without letting it rule you, you are untouchable. Silence is the space between stimulus and response, the sacred pause where wisdom lives. The wealthy and wise use that space to decide, to plan, to rise. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you grow stronger. You protect your peace. You preserve your focus. Silence brings clarity, and clarity is rare. In a noisy world filled with opinions, trends, and comparisons, silence becomes your compass. It reconnects you to what truly matters. You start to hear your inner voice again, the one that tells you what's right for you, not what's popular. That's where your purpose hides. The Stoics would retreat into quiet reflection daily to realign their actions with their values. They knew that wealth begins in alignment, when your mind, heart, and actions move as one. Without silence, there is only confusion. With it, there is direction. The quiet man is dangerous because he listens. He studies the world while others reveal their plans. His silence is not emptiness, it's preparation. While others waste time speaking, he gathers information, strengthens his strategy, and moves when the time is right. That's what makes silence so powerful in life and business. It creates timing, the ability to strike when others least expect it. The Stoic mind doesn't rush. It observes, it waits, then it acts with precision. That's how empires are built, one silent decision at a time. Even your enemies are confused by your silence. They can't read you, they can't predict you, and that makes you strong. The Stoics taught that the greatest advantage is unpredictability, not to deceive, but to remain unshaken. When you don't reveal what you think or feel, no one can use it against you. That's emotional wealth, freedom from manipulation. You move through life calm, centered, and immune to chaos. People start to feel your energy before you even speak. That's the kind of silent authority true Stoics carried, and it's still the mark of greatness today. Wealth, then, is not about how loudly you speak but how deeply you think. The silent person builds a world inside their mind before they bring it to life. The louder the world becomes, the more valuable silence is. Your quiet moments are not wasted time, they are construction hours for your soul. You are building focus, patience, vision, and resilience, the true ingredients of lasting wealth. If you're listening to this, and it speaks to you, stay with us, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with others who want to walk this path of peace and power. Every week we share Stoic truths that help you rise above noise, think clearly, and live with strength. Wealth is not in what you say, it's in what you do in silence. Remember, if you want to be wealthy, shut up, and let your calm speak for you. Silence builds unshakable confidence. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, you've already won half the battle. The Stoics taught that confidence is born not from talking about your worth, but from quietly knowing it. You don't need to explain your value when your results already speak. Silence gives you the strength to walk into any room with calm certainty, because you're not there to compete, you're there to contribute. You know who you are, and you don't need the world to confirm it. The more you practice silence, the less approval you crave, and the more power you hold. Confidence rooted in silence is unbreakable. It doesn't depend on praise or validation. It comes from discipline, from doing the work in private and trusting the process. The Stoic man wakes early, reflects quietly, and moves with purpose. He doesn't need motivation from noise because his drive is internal. That's the kind of confidence that creates wealth, not arrogance, but quiet authority. You carry yourself differently when you know your silence hides a storm of preparation. The calmness you display makes people respect you. They can sense the depth behind your stillness. Silence also teaches you presence. You stop living for attention and start living in awareness. The Stoics believed that peace is found only in the present moment. When you are quiet, you notice life, the sound of the wind, the warmth of sunlight, the stillness between breaths. That's where wisdom grows. You realize that chasing noise, fame, or validation only distracts you from the beauty of now. True wealth is not in tomorrow's promises or yesterday's regrets, it's in the stillness of this moment. Silence opens that door, and as you grow more silent, you also become more decisive. You waste no time overexplaining or overthinking. You learn to trust your instincts, because silence connects you to them. The Stoics often said that wisdom is not found in endless debate, but in quiet reflection followed by deliberate action. That's the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. The dreamers talk, the achievers work, silently, consistently, patiently, until their dream becomes reality. When you are silent, you're free from comparison. You no longer measure your life by the noise of others. You stop competing with people who are shouting for attention and instead focus on building something meaningful. The Stoic knows that greatness doesn't need to be loud. Mountains don't make noise, yet they command presence. The ocean doesn't shout, yet its power humbles everything before it. Be like that, calm, steady, vast, and unshakable. Silence is also humility. It's knowing that you don't need to have an opinion on everything. The wise listen to understand, not to reply. Every time you stay silent instead of speaking without thought, you grow wiser. The Stoics believed that learning begins with listening, and listening begins with silence. When you master that, the world itself starts teaching you. Every person, every situation, every moment becomes a lesson. And that is the wealth of the mind. Knowledge gathered in quiet reflection, refined through experience, and applied with purpose. So stay silent, work quietly, think deeply, move with intention. Your silence is not emptiness, it's strength waiting to be revealed. When the time is right, your results will make all the noise you'll ever need. Until then, guard your peace, protect your energy, and keep building. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with those who are ready to master the Stoic art of silence. Here, we build minds that are strong, calm, and wise, the kind of minds that attract true wealth. Remember, you don't need to speak to be powerful. Your silence already says enough. Thanks for watching.